Hey everyone, Oyster Tea from Good Evening Aussie here, and Shadowbringers Early Access has finished. We have had a full day of actual full release, and I'm just here to talk to you about my thoughts about how Early Access has went, about what I've liked about it, what I haven't liked about it, and then just obviously talk a little bit about the plans for Good Evening Aussie for the next week or so, just so that you've got an idea about what I am going to be putting out over the next week or so, along with what Mr. Murphy is also planning as well. So, like I say, we are through early access, and compared to the Stormblood early access, I wasn't around for Heavensward early access. Compared to Stormblood's early access, Shadowbringers is night and day. It's light and dark, to continue using the theme of the expansion. Stormblood suffered from massively inflated queues. It suffered from huge issues in terms of solo instances and matchmaking servers and duty finding servers, whereas Shadowbringers just has not had that. We've not really had any issues, bar one issue on the EU server on Saturday morning, which is when a lot of people seem to be getting to level 72, which was one of the solo instances. And the NA servers have suffered from a DDoS attack, which seems to be it. There doesn't seem to be any further issues in terms of actual getting into the game, getting into the instances you need it to do, which is great. It's so much better. It means that people aren't having to sit there for 20, 30, 40 minutes in a queue just to log into the game, and then you might be sat there for another 30 minutes trying to get into into an instance, especially if it's a solo instance. It's just annoying for players when it comes to them having paid for their subscription and then not being able to get into these instances. But Shadowbringers have not had any of those issues, really. I logged in last night, which was the first evening of full proper release over here in the EU, and there was some queue that I had like 340 people in the queue. However, it's not a massive thing. And I got in inside about 15, 20 minutes tops. So that was fine. And even then, queue times were great, even on a DPS after that. So, from what I think about the early access expansion, I'm just going to sort of like give sort of like the things I've really enjoyed. And on the screen at the moment, over in the top corner, you can see my dancer doing fates. And this is a massive thing for me. So, fates in the overworld in A Realm Reborn used to be really good for leveling, and then things like the Atmas came and people kind of got burned out on them because they were having to do so many of them. In Heavensward, it was kind of the same. There was the relic was tied behind the fates, and you had to do certain amounts of fates to get certain crystals and things like that. And again, they kind of burnt it out. And in Stormblood, they try to reinvigorate fates by putting these bonus XPs on certain fates, and putting these minions that appeared in fates that you had to kill, and if you did, then you get bonus on the next fate. But it never really seemed to sort of like pick up and take off. In Shadowbringers, that's completely different. You've still got the bonus XP on fates, and you've still got this twist of fate that allows you to get bonus XP on the next fate. But fates just seem to be a lot more populated, and it's because of this new gemstone, so like instance and gemstone bonus that you can get. Once you've completed 6 fates in each area, you can exchange 70 gemstones. You get 12 for every gold fate. You get 12, and you've got to get gold for it to count towards that area's fate bonus. So you get 72 gemstones. You can exchange 70 of those for the Riding map, which is great because it means that you can get around the area much quicker. You then go to rank 2, where you've got to complete 60 fates at gold standard in a certain area. And then I don't know if there's a rank 3, I believe there is. But depending on what rank you are, you get additional bonuses in terms of what you can buy from the gemstone vendors. So you've got to get up to rank 2 in order to be able to buy the second rank, which is the Riding map. Now, I've done that in both Lakeland and in Ilmeg. I've got up to rank 2 in the other Amareng and Calusia as well. I'm just about to start off my Vactica Greatwood journey, so I'll be picking that up as soon as humanly possible, just to make it much easier to get in and around Vactica. But the fates just seem to be much more populated. Like, I yesterday needed a couple of million XP on my Dancer to be able to go and do Dom Meg, and I got that inside 2 fates, which is great. I got that inside a couple of fates. Well, I say a couple, it was about 15-20 minutes. But you're still earning things, so it's not like you're just earning XP. You are earning gemstones in order to be able to do certain things. You always feel this sense of progression when it comes to what you complete in during fates. And obviously, at the moment, the one I'm doing now, if you can see it on the screen, is one of the bonus XP ones. So it's one of those that give you this additional XP. So I believe you saw just gone the one that I did in Amareng, which was 500,000 XP for a level 70 fate, which is really, really good. It's much better than doing the side missions, and the side missions give around about the same amount of XP. They give around about the same amount of XP, but you always feel like you're getting something extra when you're doing the fates, as opposed to just when you're doing a random side mission. So, my opinion, the fate system that Square Enix have put in place is really, really good, and it's made open world leveling so much more fun. I've really enjoyed doing fates in this expansion, whereas in Stormblood, I'll be perfectly honest, I barely touched them. So, +1 for Square Enix when it comes to fates. In terms of the other things, so the other 2 things I'm going to touch on are Dancer and Machinist, and that's because I've had extensive usage of both. Now, I say extensive, I've got my Dancer up to level 74 and my Machinist is up to level 72, because I started off as Machinist, but despite it being really flashy and I really wanted to like it because I really like the look of Machinist, I just couldn't get into it. I just could not get into Machinist actually being the class I wanted to play because it just doesn't fit right. It just doesn't seem to sit right. And I talk about it a lot more on Good Evening Eorzea this week, but it's the fact that you're wanting to use Drill, Dew, and Hypercharge for the additional potency, but if you do, then you lose out on Heat Blasts, and Hotshot is sat on my hotbar and I always forget to use it because it now doesn't really do anything bar 300 potency, and to be perfectly honest, you'd probably prefer to be using other skills instead of that, because where I am, it's a potency loss compared to some of the other skills. When it upgrades to Air Anchor, I'm sure that's different, but at the time, it's just kind of not worth it. Dancer, on the other hand, I've really enjoyed, and I think Square Enix have hands down nailed this job design. I think it can use a couple of tweaks. I think some of the potencies, especially on the standard and technical step, do need reeling back in slightly. And when I say slightly, I mean slightly, because it's not something that you need an absolute ton of change in. I just think in the lower level dungeon, so at the moment I've got Hallie Tally running, and it's just, we'll try and keep an eye on it here. So 400 damage on the standard step at that lower level every 30 seconds, and even at the higher levels, you're being able to get much more damage thrown out. I'm seeing like 30-40k standard steps. I've seen an 80k crit technical step. For a support DPS, which is what Dancer is meant to be, that is an insane amount of damage. That's just astronomical numbers. Like, Black Mages see that on Foul and Xenoglossy. Dancers shouldn't be seeing it when they're like this support class. And yes, the job is part RNG, because yes, your combos automatically proc off one another, but the flourishing sides of them, so the flourishing cascade, fountain fall, blood shower, and reverse windmill, I think it is, or flourishing windmill, I can't remember. they are proc based, and it is a 50% chance that they proc, and there is no way outside of Flourish to gain those procs any other way. If they had, say, a skill that allowed you that for the next 4 combos you automatically guaranteed a proc, great, it helps with your burst windows. The same way that once you've used one of them, 50% chance of getting a fan dance flower of the 4-fold feather, and then you've got 50% chance when you use them of getting fan dance. If there was a way of, say, for 10 seconds, the next ones that you used were guarantees, things like that, it would help the job because you'd then be able to manage your burst phases much better. However, I think Dancer is going to be one of these jobs that they've nailed the job design at the skill floor, but the skill ceiling is that much higher in that you've got to be able to plan these things. So when I've been playing it, especially in things like trials and in the Dance and Plague, which is the 63 trial which we did yesterday, I've been managing my 4-fold feathers so that during my burst phases I've been trying to keep them. So for the last minute or so you'll use standard and technical step and devilment, and that puts, and flourish, and that puts standard step on a 30-second cooldown, flourish on a 60-second, technical step and devilment on a 2-minute cooldown. So what I've been finding is that I'll use standard step at 0 and 30 seconds. So I'll use standard step, technical step, devilment and flourish at the top at 0. At 30 seconds I'll use standard step. At a minute I'll use standard step and flourish, and minute and a half I'll use standard step. Any 4-fold feathers I gain between that second flourish and then the 2-minute mark, which is when I'd use devilment, technical step and flourish again, I've been keeping. The only time I have been not keeping them is if I've got 4 feathers. I'll use one of them just so I don't overcap. If you really want to min-max, you would wait until you get a proc from the second skill. So, for example, Reverse Cascade or Fountain Fall, and you would use it then to properly maximize it, because you're only ever going to get that feather off one of those. So that would maximize it. However, that's not something that I'm really that bothered about. I don't feel it's going to properly impact the DPS on myself. But you're managing this 4-fold feather resource so that during your burn window inside that 2 minutes, you're getting that extra damage thrown out because you are able to use them on the GCDs. Homminster Switch, which we're in now, Dancer I feel Dancer is really, really good in, because it's one of those jobs where the more that you have of it, the better it is. So technical step really, really helps because you're doing those really big numbers. And even the drop off, so it's 1500 potency to the nearest target, which is something I think people need to always remember. It's not necessarily the target you've targeted. Obviously in solo fights and solo instances it's likely to be, because there's only ever one boss, so in raids and trials it's not too much of an issue. But when pulling mobs, it's not the target you've targeted, it's the closest, and then the drop off happens from there. So standard step is 1000 potency to the closest, 250 potency to everyone else. Technical step is 1500 potency, and then 375 potency to everyone else. Devilment, that 20% extra crit and direct hit to you and your dance partner. Technical steps plus 5% damage to everyone else in the party for 20 seconds is huge in an opener. And I feel that when people get their comps together, managing that trick attack, technical step, battle litany, devotion, brotherhood, emboldened, whatever buffs they are, to maximize that buff window, that's going to be something that people are really, really interested in, especially from a meta raid standpoint. Myself, our static, yes, depending on what we've got, we'll try and figure out when things are going to fit. However, it's not something that's massively important. So to me, Dancer has been hands down a nailed job. Machinist, I haven't really enjoyed. Yes, it's got some cool looking skills, but just the way that it works, it feels too clunky. I feel Hypercharge needs to either be changed from a time to a weapon skill amount, so it's the next 6 weapon skills, because you're then still able to get those weapon skills inside of Wildfire. So if you say made it 6 weapon skills, but kept Heat Blast at a 1.5 second cooldown available during this time, then you would be able to use Drill or Air Anchor along with Reassemble. So that's 2.5 seconds of your Wildfire, because you want to fit these inside Wildfire as much as possible. And then you could still, with good reliable ping, hit 4 or 5 Heat Blasts. So at level 80, you're then getting 1,000 to 1,200 potency Wildfire attack on the boss, or depending on if he jumps away, you've obviously got Detonate. So I think there are things that could be done to improve Machinist. I don't have faith in terms of Square Enix making this job fixed, because they've basically had 3 expansions now, and first expansion, it was good, people did enjoy playing it, but then expansion 2, Stormblood and Shadowbringers, I just don't think that they've got it right. I'd like to feel that they will get it right, but after having 3 goes at it and kind of succeeding once and then changing it completely, I just don't feel that they're going to get it right. I want to be proven wrong, and Square Enix, please do, but I just feel that way. In terms of early access in total, like I say, I've really enjoyed the actual experience. It's been much smoother than Stormblood. I'm really enjoying the story. It's starting to pick up where we are. We've just finished the Dance and Play, which isn't a spoiler because it is something that has been out since E3 basically, so people are aware of the Dancing Plague and the name of that trial, so it's not really a spoiler. But look forward to some more content. Good Evening Eorzea for the early access discussion is going to be up online at some point today, along with this video. I'm not going to be doing daily videos anymore because it's just not something I have time for, unfortunately. I'm coming to the end of my holidays and I actually want to finish off the story. But expect another couple of videos before then. Hopefully one between now and Innocence. And then I'll do one from Innocence to the end. And also I'll probably do one where I talk a little bit about how I'm finding some of the endgame stuff. So thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. Please like, comment and subscribe down below. And if there is any kind of content you are wanting from Good Evening Eorzea in the future, by all means pop a comment in the comment section down below, and we'll see what we can do. Until next time, as always, take care.